guys, and welcome back to another lockdown episode with me and my garden. So today I am going to tell you a little bit about these guys, which is the wonderful Granadilla, or Passiflora edulis, or passion fruit, as some people call it. So behind me you can see there's an entire wall of Granadilla, which I have put up on a trellis, and the reason why I did that is because with the inception of this garden and just the way the landscape sort of, part of my design really was to put up a windbreak, and I know that Granadillas grow really well here. I've had them for many years. I remember eating them as a kid. My mom has had them, my dad's had them, well, I mean, both my parents have had them. What I want to do is just give you a rundown on how to take it cutting and how to care for it, and then when to harvest the fruit. So this is the ed-you-liss variety, which is in South Africa, it's the one that you find in the supermarkets in packages. So they sell them, and this is the one you make like the delicious Granadilla fridge tart from. So and look, it's windy right now, but because and the wind's coming from behind me, so because I'm sitting right here, this is a really good idea as a windbreak for the summer months. During winter, when it gets, if the temperature drops really low, they tend to lose their leaves, and I'll tell you a little bit about how to manage that as well. So let's take a look at the leaves, the flowers, and the actual growth pattern of this plant. Keep in mind it is a vine, so in some countries the Granadilla might be an invasive species. Be careful if it is. I do believe very strongly that it is important that they have those plants listed for those particular purposes, because if you look at some of my other invasive species videos, very few of them so far, but I used to work in this sort of division, and this is really just, I think it's important conservatively, you know, to just know what it is that you're planting and how to manage the plant. So let's, without any further ado, get to looking at the Granadilla. Okay. So this is the passion flower, the one that actually, once it is pollinated, produces the Granadilla. And if I just show you quickly, this part here is the female. Let's just see if I can clear that up. That's the female part of the flower, and then the male part is that is one there, and one there. Those are all the anthers, and they've got the pollen. So if I actually just put my finger underneath there, I wonder if there's still any pollen left. It's the end of the day, so left, it is the end of the day, so there might not be any left, but yeah, nope, it's all gone already. This one's about to open right here, and this one is already open, and you can see the little glands on that. Let me just see if I can zoom in and show you that. Those little glands, the ants are already like all over that, because I believe it gives them some kind of sustenance, which they're getting from there. So anyways, right, back to Passiflora. So basically this plant comes from South America, and you can see how it's actually trellised all over on this very strong trellis, because I've actually got these really big poles, and then I've got that there, and then in here I've got like wire just attached there and goes straight across all the way to the other side. And this entire thing, if I just back up, this entire trellis has got two plants. So there's one on that end, and then there's one on this end, and you can see that it's actually beginning to trail away from the trellis. And this is why personally I believe that vines can be a little tricky and aggressive, and the Granadilla is no exception, especially if you live in a warm climate. So you can see that the leaves are divided. This is one single leaf right there, So it's got 3 lobes, but that's one whole leaf, because the petiole, let me just take that leaf off. So there's the petiole, and then this is a compound leaf. And you can see it's beautiful and it's shiny. And this plant, it climbs with the help of these tendrils. So the plant has got the ability, it's called thigmotropism, and so it's basically the ability the plant has to feel its way around as it grows. So when it finds something suitable to clamber onto, it will do that, and it will begin to entwine. There's the tendril going, and it actually wraps itself up onto the support. This one hasn't found anything, but there you can see again, and it's actually just attaching itself all the way along this metal wire. And then next step is obviously going to be for it to go all the way up there onto that. So the passion flower, or the granadilla as it's commonly called in South Africa, gets used for so many things. I mean, Granadilla Schweppes, which is a cool drink, which we have a fizzy drink. In America you'd call that pop, soda pop. It gets used to make cordial, which gets added to alcohol. The pulp on the inside, which I'll show you in a second, I'll cut one open. The pulp gets used for juices, cakes, desserts, ice cream, yogurt. Gets used to flavor so many different things. The world really would be a different place without Granadilla. It is the flower over here. The flower is the national flower of Paraguay. I actually am not sure if it's this particular one, but it is a passion flower, because there are very many varieties of passion flower. And in Brazil it is called maracaya, I think. I'm not sure if maracaya, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. I'll put it up on screen for you. And every day during the growing season I literally harvest quite a few. Yesterday I had a really big bag full. Today I only got 4, which is okay, because seriously, one can only eat so many granadillas in one sitting. It's filled with nutrients. Go and have a look at what this little fruit, it's like a little powerhouse of nutrients, and is really good for you, especially as immune boosting, and also just delicious, to eat. So with respect to caring for this plant, I have got it growing in pretty much loamy, sandy soil. This is alluvial soil, and basically what I've just done is, in the entire nursery, I've just actually mulched. I've just laid wood chips on top of the soil. I didn't mix it in, I just laid it on top, and slowly as this breaks down, it obviously provides adequate nutrients, and also just a really good environment for plant roots to inhabit. So what else is there? Let's show you the main stem of this one here. So this is the main stem. This plant is probably about, I'd say it's not fully 2 years old yet. And I've got a sprayer right here, which when I do turn the sprayers on, it gets water there. But for the most part, it doesn't really get water. It does want full sun. So this plant is literally in full sun. And wind as well. It does want some protection from frost, so that's quite important, and you can see all the granadillas just kind of hiding in there. They're literally all over. There's another one in there, and as the season progresses they start to get smaller. So we have received, we got ones that are enormous. I mean, really, really big, nearly the size of a tennis ball. And yeah, you basically want to trim these areas here. So you can make cuttings from the stuff that actually just splays off the side like this. And then you want to get something that's really nice and thick and has nodes. You'll see that, as with most plants, it's got a node and then another node, and the space in between is called an internode, and then another node, and another internode and another node. And so basically when you take a cutting, this is how to do it. So right here I've got one piece, okay, which is trailing on the ground. Now remember I said that it kind of gets a bit unkept and it just kind of goes all over the place, and this is what you don't want, because with the rest of the garden it will climb up everything else and just make its way and just smother other plants, which is not what you want, which is why you give it a good strong support, because the plant it bears quite a bit of fruit, so it gets quite heavy. The stems can get really thick. My mom's got, like, literally the stem got thicker than my wrist, which doesn't really say much because my wrists are kind of tiny. But so if I take a cutting, what I personally, this is the way I do it, I don't like using a cutting with a growing tip like that. I prefer that it shoots from the meristematic regions on the nodes. So those little sections right there, that's where the new plant will come from. So basically what I'm going to do is I'll take a nice piece and I'll just cut it off just below the node like that, and then I will, sorry, I'm doing this with one hand, so forgive me for the shoddy camera work. I'm gonna just snip off all of the major leaves, and then I'll snip off the tip because I don't want that. And any flowers you also want to cut off, because you don't want the plant to have to spend energy which it doesn't have and can't afford on developing a flower which probably won't give you a fruit, or definitely won't give you a fruit, because it doesn't have roots. And then as a little horticultural trick, you basically half the leaf. So let's say that's the leaf right there. I'm gonna just slice that, right, and then cut that as well. And that basically helps to limit evapotranspiration when the plant is in a cutting phase. So I'm just gonna see where else I can cut. I'll cut that one off. Any damaged leaves as well I want to cut off. And then I will use, so I'm going to cut the tendrils off as well, as close to the plant as possible. And there you can actually see, let me just show you that. There you can actually see a little plant, a little branch developing right there. And that is what you want. So that will become a new plant if I put this into a growing medium, or stand it in water, and you change the water regularly, keep it in a cool place out of direct sunlight. And look, now the best time to obviously take a cutting is in spring. If you've got a warm all year round climate, then it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to put that node, and that node I will submerge. So I'm gonna put 3 nodes into the ground, right? 3 of them into the potting mix, and then I'm gonna leave 1-2 pieces above the ground, and I'm gonna cut that off right there. So this essentially is my cutting. And then you can do them short as well. You could use just 3. But now remember, if you're going to put this into growing medium, you're going to have to, the spaces between the nodes, it's quite a distance. It's like what, three of my fingers apart, the nodes. So you're going to have to stick all 3 of these nodes, or at least 2 of them in, and then the others will stand above. And then you basically just wait. Give it, the growing medium that you're going to use is cocoa peat, perlite, I'd say a 50-50 mix, and wait until it has roots, and then you literally just keep it damp but not wet, because remember it's a cutting, so it doesn't really have the capacity to take up copious amounts of water. So really what you want to do is just keep it damp but not soaking wet, and keep it out of direct sunlight, because you don't want the plant to have to sweat trying to keep itself alive. And then you'll produce a cutting. So now, with respect to care for the plant, we're heading into winter. It's going to continue growing for now, and once it really slows down and it begins to really drop its leaves, it is starting to lose some leaves right now already, but it will lose quite a bit of the leaves. I'd say a good at least 50% or more of its leaves it will lose. Then what I'll do is I will actually aggressively cut back this plant. I will prune it very hard, and I will leave the main parts of all of the thick, well-established vines. I will leave them intact. The rest of them, they will go, and I'll feed them to the worms. I'll put them in my wormery because they'll make really good compost. And then I'll bring the compost out in spring, and I'll fertilize them. I'll then let the plants sit like this through the winter months. And then as soon as all of the new shoots begin, I will fertilize quite heavily, and you don't need to, but I like to do that because it gives it a good start. And then it will begin to recover this entire trellis. So that is a granadilla. I think that this, dude, I eat like 7 granadillas a day when it's in flower, because I just really love them. It's so delicious, and I am a tart man. What I mean is, I love tarts. Like, I love fridge tart, and just anything with ice cream or biscuit bases and cream and stuff like that. I love that sort of thing, and granadillas make amazing granadilla tart. So let's take a look before we go at what the granadilla looks like inside. Be right back. Okay, so I'm not going to go to the kitchen. I'm not going to do all of that. I've got a spoon, which I am going to show you how to open this. So I'm really going to try, because I'm doing this with one hand, and I actually really need 2 hands, and I'm all by myself. So basically, I stick my spoon in like so. Okay, and then I'm just going to open it up real quick. So I think spoons were actually made specifically for granadillas, honestly, because you basically stick it in, and then you just kind of circle it all the way around, and it makes this perfect circle. And then when you open it up, you just break that little piece off. That's what it looks like inside. So it's really delicious. And then on the inside, it's got this bag of pulp, which is really delicious, and I'll show you how to separate that. So pretty much this is how you eat it. So I'm literally just balancing it on my knees, so forgive me if it does rock a little bit as I do this. So I put it in, and I just kind of do that all the way around. A granadilla is actually a berry. If you didn't know that, well, now you know. Kind of looks a bit gross, but it's, when you taste it, all that grossness goes away. And those little black guys are the seeds on the inside there. Those black seeds covered in the pulp, and you can germinate them, but they do take quite a while. They can take up to 6 months at least when I've tried it. They take a long time to germinate. And then that, basically, you do this with it. So that's it right there. That's the granadilla. And that is so nice. Recyclable as well, which is really awesome. So then you're basically going to use your spoon and you go on the inside of the granadilla along the walls and you just kind of turn it. You hold it in your hand and you kind of turn it. And you scrape the spoon down around the side and it will actually loosen all the pulp. And then you just pop the pulp out into a bowl or whatever if you're going to put it into a blender or something like that with yogurt or ice cream or whatever it is. And then you get to eat it like this. So you basically go I'm just sat on the garden floor having this right now, and it is so good. And the seeds are really good too. Very crunchy. And then, once that's done, this is what the inside looks like. So it's kind of like this nice little bowl, really. Not that you're gonna, I don't know, eat breakfast out of it or anything. Well, there's an idea, possibly. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you're all staying safe under this whole lockdown thing. Yeah, there's quite a bit of propaganda and stuff going around, and yeah, just think of other people, think of your family, and be responsible about it all. Whether you believe it or not, give other people the choice to have to believe it or not believe it. So yeah, have a good one, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.